Hi everybody, this is Matt. A number of people had mentioned to me, hey Matt, I can't get my time date stamp clock to show in OBS, so I can use the clock for Zoom or Teams meetings or my Webex for my deposition. So today I'm going to show you how I was able to add the time date stamp clock onto my OBS. So here's how I did it. So the first thing I do is I open up a Zoom. Uh, which I already have ready for us. And then the next thing that I do is I open up OBS and I make sure that I have one of the windows right here showing in the screen. And the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to notice that sometimes I have these meeting control buttons that pop up in and out. I'm going to change my settings to general and have them always show control meetings. So it's stable because I want to either put my time date stamp, if I look right above the buttons, so when they hide themselves that I know it won't conflict, or I'll have it where I have the frame cropped and I don't see any buttons at all, then I can put my time date stamp on the bottom here. Some people like to put it in the middle. I like to put mine on the bottom right. All right. So actually, when I first started using Zoom, I didn't know how to actually put the time date stamp clock either. So I called a buddy of mine and he said, okay, let's work on this together. And he found this script on one of the forums. And what this script does is it actually grabs the time that I have on the bottom here on my PC, and it also works in the Mac, and it displays the time in the OBS window, so if you're in the East Coast and you have an East Coast clock time, then it'll display the East Coast clock. And if you're on the West Coast, it'll just match whatever you have in your clock, you know. So if you're East Coast, West Coast, or Central, it'll have the same time on your OBS. What I'll do is I'll just select all and copy, and then I would paste it into the browser to show the windows. Sometimes that doesn't work though. It won't allow you to cut and paste into the browser of OBS. So you have to go a roundabout way, and that way is what I would do is after I copied and pasted, I would paste it into the URL section of my browser, and I'm going to paste it, hit return, and what this does, it brings up the clock here. So it's working. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all, Control A or Command A for using Mac, and then I'll copy, and then I'll bring it into my OBS. So now I'll go here into my sources area. I don't need this anymore since I copied it. I'm going to hit the plus or the add button for sources. I'm going to go to browser. I'm going to change the name here. I'll move this, can't move it over, but hopefully you can see, to time date stamp clock. You can change it to whatever you want. And now I get this window with the icon. I'm going to paste it into the URL, and I already know it works because I just tried it in Chrome. And for the size, I'm going to put in a 175 width, then I'm going to add a 25 height. You can pick whatever size you want for the bounding box, but I picked this size because I feel like it's the closest size that fits around the clock, and I'll show you. I'm going to hit OK. So it's actually pretty small, it's hard to see, but if you look closely, the bounding box is right around the same size around the clock. I'm going to move this down here so it won't get stuck in the corner if I change one of the alignments, and I'll show you. So if I wanted to change this position, either I can right click and hit transform edit, move this over here, and I can move the position manually, and then it'll move. Or if I want, I can change the time date stamp, right click it, properties, right here, this menu will come here from the layers. I just like to grab it and move it around with my mouse because it's faster. But if you hit one of these red handles here by accident, it'll stretch to some larger size, and I'm hitting Control Z. So now I'm going to kind of go to my transform, and I'm going to edit. I'm going to change the size that I want it to be close to. So here's the position that I showed you earlier. This is the size that I put it into. The positional alignment, I like to put it on center, but you know, top left, it's fine. That's where it starts to scale at it if you start pulling on it. So I'm going to put mine to top center, or even center is fine. So now it's in the center of your red bounding box, and I like to stretch to the bounds, which is the outer part. Now I want to change it to my size. So I want it about 350, and now it's longer, and I'll make this about 50. So that's about the right size that I want it. And then I'm going to close it. In this particular frame, which I grabbed from Zoom, I have my buttons here. So if I know that the buttons are going to be going in and out, or they're going to disappear, actually I don't need to see Zoom anymore. I would place it right above the buttons so that I know that it's safe, that when these pop up or pop down or disappear because my mouse rolls over it, then I won't cover anything up. But since I like to keep all this up, showing the meeting controls, and then I like to show the crop version so there's no buttons, either I can leave it here, or I can move it to the bottom right, which is where I normally like it. Some people like I said, liked it in the center, but I prefer it about right here. And if I know I'm going to show the buttons, or if it comes up and down, then I would, you notice how it conflicts with the buttons? Then I'd have it right above the buttons. But since I have my buttons cropped, then I'll move it here. Sometimes and then I lock the position. Sometimes we lose the clock, and the clock disappears. You just got to know that when you have your time date stamp on layers in the sources, you can move it up or you can move it down. So sometimes you might have it misplaced below something else. That's why it disappears. Every now and then we have a graphical problem where no matter what you do, you copy this script, you put it into the browser, and then you see it, then you copy it into your sources, it still doesn't show, and we can't figure out what's happening. So it happens to be a graphics card issue. So this is how you would resolve that. You'd go to your settings, go to advanced, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and if you see this enable browser source hardware accelerator checked, you need to uncheck it, because if it's checked, then you won't see the clock. For whatever reason, it just disappears. And then after you uncheck it so it's empty, then you hit apply, hit OK. Then you have to shut down your OBS and restart it. Then you should be good to go. So if you need this script, I'll add this with the video, and you can just cut and paste it and paste that into the browser so that you could use it for your OBS. Hopefully you can get it working as easily as I did, and you have a great day.